Hi, my name is Grace Kemp from www.scriptureseries.com, and I'm going to talk to you briefly today about the book of Lamentations. Now, I know that sounds boring and depressing, even by its name, but the question is, will the real author of Lamentations please stand up? And I'll tell you, it is not Jeremiah. I have 7 books in my library devoted to the book of Lamentations, all of which claim that Jeremiah was the author. I'm here to tell you he was not. And I can prove it, but you'll have to stay tuned to find out. It's going to take me probably 3 segments to give you some of those clues. Zedekiah, who wrote Lamentations, was the last king of Israel, last king of Judah, rather. He was a wicked king, along with his brothers, from a godly father, Josiah. At that time, Jerusalem was under the authority of Babylon, paid taxes to Babylon, and Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, set Zedekiah to rule over Jerusalem under his authority. He made Zedekiah enter into a covenant agreement that he would not fight Babylon, that he wouldn't go for help to Egypt or any other country to fight Babylon, but that he'd be submissive to the king of Babylon. And Nebuchadnezzar said, if you do that, you'll be fine. I won't war against you, but you must be subservient. Zedekiah promised that he would do that. He shook hands, and that was very, very serious form of commitment, particularly to the Babylonians. He also swore an oath in the name of the God of Israel. Now, Nebuchadnezzar knew of the God of Israel and highly regarded the God of Israel. And Babylon was very much a law-keeping country, probably obedient to the Hammurabi's law code. But in any case, they revered the law. So Zedekiah, king of Israel, shook hands and swore an oath. That was a solemn commitment. Now, if you'll fast forward, Zedekiah completely broke his oath, went to Egypt, begged for help, and tried to war against Babylon. As a result, Babylon attacked Jerusalem and Judea, and Jerusalem fell in 586 in a horrible, horrible battle, much loss of life. And Zedekiah was taken to Babylon in chains. Prior to being taken there, his eyes were gouged out, his teeth were chipped, his bones were broken, his sons were murdered before his eyes, and he went in chains to Babylon, led by the hand of Nebuchadnezzar. As prophesied, he never saw the land, but although he died in a dungeon there. Languishing in the dungeon, he said this incredible verse. I had never noticed it, of course. In Lamentations 1:14, it's a definitive clue as to who the author of Lamentations is, but it's a very innocuous verse. It says, "The yoke of my transgressions is bound by his hand." The yoke there means the covenant. The covenant of my transgression is bound by his hand. That would be Nebuchadnezzar's hand. In other words, the author of Lamentations, and Lamentations is an autobiography, the author of Lamentations is the one that shook hands and swore an oath to the king of Babylon. Because he claims that in that verse, the yoke of my transgressions is bound by his hands. Did any other king of Judah swear an oath to Nebuchadnezzar? Not one. None of his brothers, Jehoiakim, Jehoiachin, Jehoahaz, that was about it, or even his father Josiah, none of them had sworn an oath to Nebuchadnezzar. Only Zedekiah. This narrows the gap. It's like finding the DNA at a murder scene. You can have cumulative evidence, but you cannot definitively identify the killer until you find the DNA, and that belongs to that killer exclusively. Ditto, this verse only can apply to Zedekiah, and certainly not to Jeremiah. As we proceed to part 2, stay tuned, because there's so many amazing clues that prove it was Zedekiah beyond any reasonable doubt, and that could never have been Jeremiah. So come back for part 2.